welcome to the United Stand, your latest Manchester United transfer news, and lots to talk about on the show tonight. We will be talking about Paul Pogba, we're talking about Lukaku, but we're going to start off with a little bit of breaking news from Sky Sports. They are the people who seem to be running predominantly this story about Wan Bissaka to Manchester United. I also want to just say as well, I'm just gonna give a warning about this straight away and say that I wouldn't say I'm annoyed. I'm becoming a little bit impatient about Manchester United's transfer activity. I think we're starting to get a few signs that we are making the same mistakes as previous transfer windows in relation to haggling and how long we're taking to do deals. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, this is coming out about Wan Bissaka. It's coming out from Sky Sports News. It came out about half an hour ago. And what they're basically saying is that, yes, Wan Bissaka favours a move to Manchester United, but Crystal Palace will not take anything less than £50 million, which I think many of us sort of would expect that anyway. If it was true that United had a £40 million offer turned down, I think £50 million is logical. And I think realistically, Manchester United should probably just pay that. Kyle Walker went for £50 million. Kyle Walker was probably of a better pedigree of Wan Bissaka, but I think Wan Bissaka's got better potential than Kyle Walker. Very talented young lad. £50 million, look, is he worth it? Probably not, but because he's English, because he's young, because he's Premier League proven, that's probably what you pay for a £50 million for a right back of that sort of quality. So, yeah, I mean, look, let's see if there's any truth in it. As I said, Sky Sports seem to me to be the one that are pushing this deal. Not really anybody reliable. Well, is Sky Sports reliable? You know, maybe some people think it is, but there's a lot of smoke, so there's got to be some fire there. So hopefully. But he flies out tomorrow for the Under-21 Championships in Italy. So even if we get a deal over the line, is that the medical won't happen until the end of June, which is fine, as long as he becomes a Manchester United player. Some people would say, you know, that's absolutely fine. We'll be talking about Pogba in a moment. Well, I'll just say this about Paul Pogba. The news about Paul Pogba is that the Juventus have flown into London to talk about Paul Pogba. We spoke about this morning. I think this is old news. This is what Di Marzio was talking about last night. They flew. He's been on a tour. He's spoken to Chelsea about Sarri. He spoke to United about Pogba, and there was some mention of Cancelo. So this is broken today, but it was a story we were talking about last night, I think. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a moment. But the Wan Bissaka thing, I think that breaking news: Raiola ban lifted in Italy. Thoughts, says Pack 376. Look, Mino Raiola's doing stuff anyway. Regardless of the ban, he's still doing stuff. So the ban it seems a little bit pointless to me. Avin Dulka says, you think no news is good news? De Gea, Pogba and De Ligt. We'll talk about that in a bit as well. I don't want to lose De Gea. But let's get back to Wan Bissaka for a moment. It looks like that medical will not be done before he goes away on this tournament. So maybe we'll do what we did with Daniel James and announce it pending him coming back, or maybe we'll spend the next 2 weeks doing the deal. We'll come back to that in a minute, because I'm getting a little bit frustrated about Manchester United, and this feeds nicely into the Lukaku thing. So Wan Bissaka, if you've just joined, half an hour ago, Sky Sports saying that Crystal Palace will not take anything less than £50 million, which I think many of us would agree is the right sort of thing to go. And apparently Wan Bissaka does want to come to United, so we'll see. Do you think we'll sign the centre-back before pre-season, says Sankadeep Fee? Well, there's an interesting thing just to ponder as we move through the show. Lots of people trying to move us in different directions. We'll cover everything. Don't worry about that. But there was a story today. Manchester United, if they can't get the top-class centre-back they want, they'll make do with what they've got. Shut up. Absolutely ridiculous. That is the stupid mentality that we did last summer, and it didn't do us any good. You've got to get a centre-back this summer, and you've got to pay the money to do it. But interestingly, I'm not all over the place. I'm very well organised, actually. There is a journalist, Alfredo Martinez, who's actually quite reliable in relation to Barcelona, and he tweeted a couple of hours ago that Barcelona are not getting De Ligt. Does that mean he's going to PSG? Does it mean Manchester United are back into the equation? I don't know. But let's talk about Lukaku, because Lukaku obviously came out after I was on Sky Sports News today, actually, if anyone didn't see it, and I was speaking about how, you know, some people would say it takes a brave man to do this. It doesn't, because a woman could do it, and I know all you lot would do it. But I was on Sky Sports News talking about the fixtures, and they asked me about players that needed to leave United. And I didn't go for the obvious ones. I didn't say the Rohos or the Darmians. I said Lukaku and Sanchez, and I explained why. So high five, United Stand community. You ask me to do it, I'll do it. And I said Lukaku and Sanchez have got to go, and I explained why. But Lukaku has got to go. He will score goals. He'll be a good signing for Inter Milan, but we want to be one of the best teams in the world. We want to be one of the best teams in England, and you won't do that with Lukaku. So the latest with Lukaku is that this deal to Inter Milan has been worked on since March. He's now agreed personal terms. That's apparently what's come out today. Lukaku has agreed personal terms. It's now about the final fee. So this deal will be done very, very quickly. Lukaku will not be going on the pre-season tour, which is a big thumbs up. Smash a like on video. It's a thumbs up. But it irritates me, not because we're going to lose Lukaku. I want Lukaku to go because he's not good enough at holding the ball up. His first touch is like a garage door. And the second thing is he's a bit of a flat track bully. He doesn't score enough goals against the best teams. Remember that game we lost to Arsenal in the league? He had a great chance in the first 5 minutes. What a cross by Luke Shaw, and he bloody missed it. So, he's not clinical enough and his build-up play is not good enough. But what irritates me the most about this Lukaku deal, and it's the whole picture, and it's what's getting on my nerves a little bit today about Manchester United. This deal's been being worked on since March, and it's nearly over the line now because it's been worked on for a long time. Eden Hazard, what a big deal that was. Done. He's bloody doing keepy-ups in the Bernabeu as we speak. That's a massive deal. Why has it been done so quick? There's no way Real Madrid knocked on Chelsea's door and went, "There's 80 million. Let's get it done." Chelsea would have gone up yours. This has been being worked on for a long time, and this is where I get very irritated by Manchester United. Now, we've got to wait till August because this could all turn itself around. But what won't turn itself around is we're in the middle of June. Nobody's got a bloody clue what we're doing, and I think that reflects in the fact that the club don't know what they're doing. Because if at the start of the season when we play Chelsea, we've got the 5 or 6 players we all want, happy days. We got there in the end, but I still think mistakes have been made, and they're very obvious to me because even if we get those players over the line, they should have been done by now. There's no bloody excuse. If Wan Bissaka was really a target since March, like the In the Know say, bollocks. He's not been a target since March. If he was a target since March, we wouldn't be negotiating and haggling the price now. These idiots they try and say, "Oh, my source told me we've been after him since March." You absolute idiot. Like, do you take people for idiots? If we'd been working on the deal for Wan Bissaka since March, it would be done now. You can negotiate with clubs when the season's on. What people don't understand about transfers, and I explained this, and many people will back me up on this, the Griezmann deal was being worked on all season 2 years ago, and he dropped out about this time when the transfer ban was upheld for Atletico Madrid. Proper negotiations, and this is why you need a director of football, proper negotiations and proper clubs, they get deals done quickly. And people are deceived by that because they've been working on it for a long time. Like this Lukaku deal appears to be working on for a long time. The Hazard deal for Chelsea and Real Madrid obviously been worked on for a long time. Jovic, long time. Real Madrid, efficient. Manchester United, inefficient. And if we'd been working on this Wan Bissaka deal for any longer than a fortnight, and I swore there, we'd have it done. There'd be no haggling with Crystal Palace because it would be done. We could have spoken to them in March or April and said, "What do you want? 50 million. Okay, we want to go 45. It's 50 million. All right, 50 million. Deal done? Yeah, as soon as the season's over, let's get it announced." But we're not. We're negotiating in the middle of bloody June, and we might be negotiating for another 2 weeks on Wan Bissaka. Or we might negotiate for 2 weeks and say, "No, we're not paying 50 million," and walk away. Like we did with Perisic 2 years ago, like we did with Sandro a year ago. We're negotiating and haggling in the middle of a transfer window, and it's not good enough. Look at Koulibaly. Well, United wanted Koulibaly, but they're negotiating and haggling in the transfer window, and Napoli go, "He's not for sale." Oh, that's one of your targets gone, Ollie. Why are we not doing that in April or March? Why? I mean, some clubs won't do it, but actually, a lot of the clubs will if you put in the money up. Who else are we haggling for? Like, this is what's irritating me. We're haggling and we are negotiating on transfers that we should have been doing way before now. This could have been going on in May, March, April, and anybody who says, "Oh no, that's not what happens," it bloody well does. Transfers are being worked on for a long, long time, but United seem to have waited till this transfer window, and now we're haggling, and that's why things are so slow, and that's why we're going to hinder ourselves big time. Big time. Saw your video about Griezmann. Yes, I also didn't like the attitude, but I feel he won't end up like Sanchez. And if Lukaku leaves and we are not linked with any strikers, I feel Griezmann and a right winger will add goals, says Anoop Ayapan. I mean, look, I think Griezmann will go to Barcelona, but we need to keep an eye on that one. Joseph Woodbury says, I'm a new member here, follow all your channels from the USA, getting nervous on these transfers, they are taking a while. And Al Albertar says, hi Mark, have you gone out to lunch with your friend who told you that we're going for Meunier, Sanchez and Bruno Fernandes? I can't believe I asked this. Well, I did speak to him today. It is a man. And to be honest with you, he wasn't that forthcoming on any information. I tried to get a little bit of information. Wasn't that forthcoming, really. Bruno Fernandes is still a priority for Manchester United. That much is true. Sancho is a priority for Manchester United, but they don't think they can do it. And what I would say about Jadon Sancho, you know what? What I'm going to say about Jadon Sancho might frustrate a few people, but United want Sancho, and the indications from Sancho was that he wanted to come to United until we didn't qualify for the Champions League. And that got me thinking, you know what? You're 19 years of age, fella. Like, so you're only going to come to this club if it's on a plate. Why can't you come to this club and be the reason we get back in the Champions League? If you want to come and play for us, why can't, we're still in the Premier League and we're in the Europa League. 1 year out of the Champions League, that's all we're saying, and you can be part of that. Why won't you come to us now? That's what I thought about today. So maybe that deal isn't dead, but Manchester United definitely do want to do it. Griezmann has not signed for Barcelona yet, Callum, because he can't sign for Barcelona yet. I think he will sign for Barcelona. I don't think Icardi will come to Manchester United, Viking Red. I would like him to come to United. But yeah, I mean, how are you feeling about this transfers? What irritates me about United, like I say, in a recap, is that Lukaku's deal is going to be done very, very quickly because Inter Milan have been working on it. Everyone else seems to be able to do deals really quickly. And United, and this is the thing, I won't even give them the benefit of the doubt because maybe this isn't happening. But the reality is we've been seeing it for the last 6 years. We start negotiating in the transfer window. And it's like, where's your pre-planning? Where's your plan been for this summer? Like Harry Maguire is apparently 90 million quid. Where's the negotiations on that then? Or are we still hanging out cap in hand for De Ligt? Who is our centre-back options? And if that's true, this was in the Independent today, that Manchester United, if they can't get the centre-back that they want, which is meant to be De Ligt, then they'll make do with Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, Chris Smalling, Lindelof and Twansebe. And some people would say that's good, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Twansebe's untested. Eric Bailly gets injured a lot. Phil Jones is rubbish. Chris Smalling's a backup, and Lindelof can't do it on his own. So straight away, in the space of 5 seconds, I've just told you what's going to happen next season if we don't sign a centre-back. They're not good enough. They're the same centre-backs we had last year, and a lad who's been on loan at Aston Villa, who actually wouldn't get much game time anyway. So they're not good enough. And the story that's coming from the Independent is, well, if there's no value in the market for what they want, we'll make do with what we've got. We finished 6th. Hello, McFly. We finished 6th. We finished 6th on purpose because we were crap. And you think you can get by with those same centre-backs. It's that sort of mentality that will destroy this football club. Are we serious about a rebuild, or are we messing about trying to measure up a bank balance? Because we need a centre-back. It's probably, some people would vote, the most important position. You cannot not get a centre-back because you don't think there's value in the market. Tough. We're a football club. We got loads of money. Go and get one. We did exactly the same last year. We needed a centre-back. We didn't get one. We've got to get a bloody centre-back. And all these people who are going Glazers out, this, that and the other, look, it's a personal choice. I always said about the Glazers, well, you should have wanted them out when we won the Champions League in 2008 because the problems are the same then as they are now. You can't judge the Glazers on trophies won or lost because we've done good things with them and we've done bad things on the pitch with them. But ultimately, you judge their ownership across the whole lot. But if we don't buy a centre-back this summer, I'm seriously like, what's the bloody point? What are you trying to do with this football club? They have to sign a centre-back, and I firmly believe they will do, so hopefully it's just paper talk. Champions League shouldn't be a deal breaker for players younger than 25. They have years left in their career. Why not be the centre of a rebuild, says Jerry Hensley. That's exactly what I'm talking about with Jadon Sancho. Thanks for the contribution, Punzi. Kante needs to be signed. Hazard goes along with Sarri. Slight as well. We ain't going to get Hazard, Dylan Garrett. We're not going to get Kante. Not at all. And what are we saving money for, says Uznad? Yeah, we're saving money for our owners, aren't we? Anyway, we've got loads to get through. So let's... De Ligt has apparently snubbed Barcelona, by the way. I've told people about that already. Wan Bissaka bid, Wan Bissaka Crystal Palace 150 million. That's just come out in the last hour or so. Lukaku's agreed terms, and it's been talked about since March, so it just shows how bad we are. No centre-back if we don't get the centre-back that we want. And you know what? Just to go back that, we are being held to ransom as a club again. The art of good negotiations is that you are the one in the power. And, whatever happens with Wan Bissaka, Crystal Palace have got all the power. Like, Manchester United always gift the power in transfers. Like, we can have the power with Wan Bissaka. Like, it seems to me that we are, if you believe the story that we're even in for Wan Bissaka, because remember, we might not even be in for him, it could just be paper talk. But if you believe the paper story, or the Sky Sports story, £40 million reject bid, and then Crystal Palace are now saying it's 50 million or you're not getting him. You know what? Who's got the power there? Crystal Palace. Do you think Real Madrid gifted the power to Chelsea on Hazard, and Chelsea were like 80 million or you're not getting him? What a load of nonsense. If you've got the player in your pocket, the power's with you. Why are United not getting the power? Why are United not going to Wan Bissaka? And you can do this. Not legally, but you can do it. Force a move. We're not going above 40 million. Force a move out. If you want to come to our club, force a move. And if the player's like, well, I'm not going to, I owe it to Palace not to do that, so I'm not going to do it. But then you know that the player doesn't really want to come, because if they want to come, they'll force the move. That's how you get the power as a buying club. And United just don't seem to be able to do that, because I think, obviously, we're not very good at negotiating. You've got to get the player to force the move. We should like to do that as well, because some people would say, well, if you get the player to force the move, it's going to take longer. What, longer than it is already? We're so slow at negotiating anyway. We may as well try and get the player to force the bloody move, because the club will very, very quickly cave in if the player's forcing the move. But United just don't seem to be able to do that. And, look, it can all resolve itself very, very quickly. But I will not be totally negative about this transfer window until we know what's going to happen at the end of August. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted all these signings done by July the 1st. We don't even know who we're after. We don't know who we're after. Potentially we're after Wan Bissaka. Can you tell me another player we're after? Are we after De Ligt? I don't think we are. Some people don't think we are. So who are we after as a centre-back? Midfield-wise, who are we after? I mean, Bruno Fernandes is a top priority, but we seem to be snoozing on that one. I mean, what are United doing? Bruno Fernandes is there to be done. It's there to be done. Are we in Portugal? Are we doing anything about it? Wan Bissaka wants to come, apparently. Are we doing anything about it? Who's the right winger? Who's the replacement for Lukaku? Who's the second midfielder? Who is the centre-back? It's the middle of June, and we don't know any of these things. And for anybody who says, well, maybe we don't know because the United are keeping it in-house, don't make me laugh. United are like a sieve. They're like an absolute sieve. So much information comes out. So much comes out. You had somebody on Twitter yesterday tweeting out an hour before the announcement of Daniel James, because people are leaking information all the time. They can't help themselves. There's always sieve coming out on there. Any update on Bruno Fernandes, says Jose Gonzalez? There's a little bits, but we'll talk about that on Transfer Daily tomorrow, because I think there'll be some more later on tonight with that. Anoop Alipan, if Barcelona are going for De Ligt and Griezmann, it's 180 million. They will have to sell main players. It will create a chain reaction, and Barca will have to sell good players. Well, maybe. Anurag Dutta says, your thoughts on Max Aarons? The lad has got great potential and would be in the price range of Dan James. Anyway, would be better than Young. I like the look of Max Aarons from Norwich, I do, but I think United will probably go for somebody Premier League proven, which is why they're looking at Wan Bissaka. You have no idea how much joy destroying your club gives me, says Ed Woodward. Imagine if it was the real one. Imagine. Anyway, we better talk about Paul Pogba, because a lot of people are talking about this, and I think the interesting thing about the Paul Pogba deal is that I think there's a contrast with this. I do. I think that there's a bit of a contrast with this Paul Pogba story, because I hear people talking about it, and I'm sure we spoke about it this morning on the Transfer Daily this morning. And effectively, what's happened with the Paul Pogba thing is that Manchester United apparently have had a meeting with somebody from Juventus in London about Paul Pogba going to Juventus. Well, the problem with that is that Di Marzio spoke about this last night, and he basically said that there was a meeting between Manchester United representatives and Juventus about the likelihood of a Paul Pogba deal, and there was a mention of Cancelo, who's a right back. Well, that's very interesting. That is very interesting, but there's a very big difference between what Paul Pogba's doing and what Lukaku's doing. Like, Lukaku seems to be forcing this move. Pogba's very, very quiet. So how is this planning out? Is it all behind closed doors and Pogba said, I want to go, but I don't want to go public. I don't want to say it publicly. Remember, United have got, I talk about the power in a transfer. United have got the power here. Pogba's got 3 years left on his contract if you add in the optional year that we can add on. £150 million is what, some people would say that's overpriced, but we've got the power. We don't need to lower the price. Why should we lower the price for a player that the club doesn't want to sell? Of course you're going to add a few million on. I mean, look at what Leicester are trying to do with Harry Maguire, 90 million. Are they having a laugh? No, they're not. They just know they've got the power. So Manchester United have got the power here, 150 million quid. A lot of people feel Real Madrid are in for Pogba, which I think is interesting because I think Zidane does want Real Madrid and I think Pogba would prefer Real Madrid to Juventus. But I think Pogba would happily go back to Juventus than stay at Manchester United. So it's an interesting one with Pogba. All I would say is, I said it on Twitter earlier, if Pogba stays, great. If he goes, I'm not bothered. And that's not about disliking Pogba and it's not about a desperation for him to stay. If he stays, great. I think he's a good player. If he goes, I'm not too bothered. I think, if he goes, it's a proper rebuild for United, isn't it? And that should we play at it or should we do it really? So it'll be interesting to see Juventus if they do fancy their chances in getting Paul Pogba because he's been quite quiet. And considering Mino Raiola is his client, it's interesting. Welshman 2019 says put Sir Alex Ferguson in charge of transfers. I don't think that's a good idea. Let Sir Alex rest and let him retire and enjoy it. He's done it all. Let him have a rest. Relax. Why do we always let teams dictate to us? Says Sean Byrne. Because we're crap at transfers, and until we prove otherwise, I'm going to think that. I think we will. I do think we're going to sign 4 or 5 players this transfer window. I'm very confident of that, but. It's not. I'm not confident it's going to be done in the time that we wanted it to be done. I've got a funny feeling we'll be on tour, still haggling, trying to get deals done because that is what we do. And it's like that story that came out yesterday that Ed Woodward wants to keep control of transfers. Like what? This is the problem. The Glazers love Woodward because he helps them buy the club, and Woodward's got all the power. So there's no accountability. The fans give the accountability, but we're powerless. The Glazers don't really care what Woodward does because they love him, and Woodward will just keep doing what he wants to do. But there should be some accountability because the way, I'm sorry to say this, but whoever deals with our transfers is bad. They're rubbish. They're rubbish, and they're proven to be rubbish, and they're proving it again. They take too long to get deals. Like, even if we agree a deal for Wan Bissaka tomorrow, the medical's not going to be done for 2 weeks. It will go quiet for 2 weeks, then we'll unveil Wan Bissaka at the end of the month. And we won't have signed anybody else. So, just so slow at doing things. And a director of football should have been brought in. We all know it. Pogba is great on his day, but we need always good, says Bradley Hull. And Nick P, if you're watching from Inter, Romelu likes 1 sugar lump a day. He doesn't like his feet rubbed. If he starts pointing at other players, sedate him. Look, Nick, at the end of the day, Romelu Lukaku's leaving Manchester United. That's got to be worth a like on the video. I mean, look, I wish him all the best. I really do, but I'm so pleased that he's going. Honestly, the only player from Leicester City I would like to have would be James Maddison, whatever the price. I mean, interestingly, let me just bring Fred in here. There's a rumour today. Fonseca, I think, is the manager at Roma, or he's got something involved. He apparently spent some time with Fred at Shakhtar Donetsk, and they want Fred to go to Roma on loan. Now, this goes back to what I've been saying for a while, because a lot of people are saying, oh, you're sleeping on Fred. He's going to have a great second season like Lindelof. He's going to be brilliant. And I hope you're right. I don't dislike Fred, but I just think that Fred could well, and I think he'll be gone in a year. I think he'll stay this season, then he'll go next summer, because it's embarrassing to sell a player after 1 year. So I think he'll be gone next summer. But I wouldn't be surprised if he did go on loan, because the evidence is there with Fred. For anybody who watches the United Stand and watches Manchester United games and watches the watch-alongs and the match reactions, especially the watch-alongs, when we've been talking about Fred, especially between March and April, he got a run in some games. I remember he played against Wolves. He played a couple of games in CDM, I think 2 or 3, and I thought he did really well. And he did make a couple of mistakes, but I liked his speed, I liked his tenacity, and I liked how quick he moved the ball from back to front, because Matic is bloody ancient at doing it. And I was like, look, he's made a couple of mistakes, but he showed a lot of potential there. What we should do now is, between now and the end of the season, is just keep playing Fred there, and he'll get better and better with every game. He needs a run of games. What happens? Everybody gets fit, and Fred's back on the bench again. So that, to me, shows that Solskjaer and the coaching staff don't rate Fred. They're not waiting for a summer. They're not waiting for a pre-season. They could have given him games, and they still brought the likes of Matic and McTominay and Herrera back over Fred. So that shows to me that they don't fancy him as a player. And he's had a very difficult first season, so watch the space on that, because United might well loan him out. they might loan him out with the view that he will be sold in a year's time, which would be a big shame. But I don't think Solskjaer fancies him. I don't. I think he had the opportunity to give him a run of games when he showed a bit of promise, and he didn't give it. So I might be wrong, but I don't know. I think it's quite interesting with that. Fred showed his potential. He just needs to find consistency, says Tyrod. Yeah, but he would have found his consistency if we'd given him a run of games, and we didn't do that. So I've got to say I'm a little bit worried for old Fred, if I'm honest with you. I really am. Get to 2,000 likes, says Nova5. Yeah, please do smash a like on the video. Remember, everybody keep subscribing to the channel. We've gone past 470,000. We are getting closer to the 500,000. I was talking to Flex today. He's going to do a bit of DJing. We're going to book out a nice restaurant, bar, down, probably do it around London way or Manchester, one of the two, because we know people might want to fly in. But we're going to give you plenty of notice of that. So once we hit 500,000, we've got lots of things planned. So do subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and share if you have subscribed. Share the video. You can do it on share. You can just click share below, share it on Facebook, Twitter. Let's get more people involved in the community. So a little bit of a recap for you then. Wan Bissaka. Sky Sports are saying that Wan Bissaka favours a move to Manchester United, but Crystal Palace won't sell for anything less than 50 million, which I think is about fair. But as I said, I'm getting a little bit frustrated with this. You've got in the know people saying that the Wan Bissaka deal's been worked on since March. Wake up and smell the coffee, you absolute plonkers. There's no way we've been working on this deal since March. I know we've not been working on this deal since March because we were looking at Meunier. What's happened is, for some reason, this Crystal Palace Wan Bissaka thing has become a thing in the last 2 weeks because we're negotiating now. If we'd been working on it since March, we'd have him signed by now because that's what efficient clubs do. We are clearly haggling with Crystal Palace, which means we've only just started working on this deal. There you go. Lukaku has apparently agreed personal terms with Inter Milan, so they've just got to agree a deal. I'd take 60 million for Lukaku. I know some people would say, well, that's a loss. I would take 60 million just to get him out of the club. That's a deal that apparently has been worked on since March. That's how you do it. What else? Pogba, Juventus, there's talk of that, but I think this is a lot to do with what Di Marzio said last night. I'm sure there's interest from Juventus in Pogba, but who can stump up £150 million? I don't think anybody can. If you're asking me, Real Madrid, or look, if Pogba's adamant he wants to go, let's do a little bit of a message here. MUFC 93 says, I'm a new member and I love the show, man. Welcome, pal. Thanks for the contribution. I'm going to run a little bit of an experiment with you here. So if Pogba's going, right, if he's going, would you rather he went to Juventus and get a player from them, or would you rather he went to Real Madrid and get a player from them? And within reason, you're not going to get Eden Hazard or Jovic from Real Madrid, and you're not going to get Varane either. So what's realistic from Real Madrid? Probably Gareth Bale, definitely, and then some of their other fringe players. At Juventus, possibly Dybala, Cancelo, that's Douglas Costa. To be honest with you, I would rather go Juventus and Cancelo than anything else that Real Madrid would offer us, because it's scraps. It's scraps from Real Madrid, isn't it? It's Gareth Bale and their scraps. So I probably would go Juventus and Cancelo, but I'd rather get the 150 million and spend it on what we want to spend it on, to be honest. I don't really want players that other clubs don't want anymore, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's the situation with that. Bernardeschi would be a great player, Hashrai Shah, but there's no way they'll give us Bernardeschi. I like Bentancur as well. They won't give us that sort of player. But a lot of people are saying Juve. Isco from Real Madrid, gaming with Emmanuel. I mean, Isco's interesting. Zidane doesn't really fancy him as well, so he's about, Isco is quite interesting, but I don't know that sort of player works for United as well. Same with Asensio. I mean, he's a good player. He is a good player. A lot of people saying Juventus, so yeah, I probably would agree with you on that one. De Ligt, just to mention that, De Ligt, a very reputable Barcelona journalist, Alfredo Martinez, has come out this evening and said that De Ligt's not going to go to Barcelona. It's not just about the money. It's also about he doesn't feel that Barcelona is the best club for his development. Now that's the interesting line from that De Ligt thing. Actually, I know people get bored of the De Ligt thing, which is why I don't put it. I haven't really spoken about it massively. But the interesting thing about the De Ligt thing is that if that's true from the Barcelona journalist, that he's not going to Barcelona and it's not just about the money, it's about development as well. Well, if he's going to PSG, that's a crock of shit. I'm sorry. Your development's going to be much better at Barcelona than it's going to be at PSG. So if De Ligt goes to PSG, it is about the money. It's not about development. If you're choosing PSG or Barcelona for your development, then Barcelona's better. I mean, look at Neymar. He left Barcelona for PSG for money. His development has been nowhere near what it would have been at Barcelona. And the reality is PSG are not going to win the Champions League next year. They're not. You can already tell who's going to win the Champions League next year. It'll be Man City or Liverpool or Barcelona or Real Madrid, because Barcelona and Real Madrid are investing a lot of money, and so are Real Madrid. PSG are not good enough to win the Champions League. So all you're going to do as a PSG player is win the French League, which you could do just by, like I say, getting pissed up for every game and putting a blindfold on. You'll still win. You're not going to win the Champions League. So if you're going to PSG, it's about the money. It's not about development. So does that mean if he's talking about development United, I don't know whether United's good for his development, but I suspect De Ligt will go to PSG and pretend it's about development, but really it's about money. But it's interesting that it doesn't look like he's going to Barcelona. Thoughts on Ruben Diaz, says Dylan Garrett. I like Ruben Diaz. I think he would be an exciting signing, and he's got a release clause of 60 million. And yet again, it's that indecisiveness from Manchester United, because you know what? I could go out tomorrow as Director of Football of Manchester United with £250 million in my Sky Rocket, and I'll come back by Saturday lunchtime and I'll have everything done. I'll fly to Benfica and I'll go, Ruben Diaz, 60 million release clause. Let's have a chat, mate. You're going to be the kingpin of my centre-back for the next 5 years. Don't worry about Benfica. I've hit your release clause. You're coming. One centre-back down. I then fly to Spain and Madrid, and I go up to Atletico Madrid and I go, there's 43 million quid. I want to talk to Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey, I'm going to make you a star. Manchester United can be a big club and you're going to be a starter in my midfield. Happy days. I'm flying back to England. I've spent just over £100 million. I've got Thomas Partey and Ruben Diaz, and no one can do anything about it because they've got a release clause, and I don't need to haggle, and it's done. I'll come back to England and I go, yo, Wan Bissaka, 50 million, let's get you down on the right back. £150 million spent. And then, you know what? I'm going to fly back over to Portugal and I'm going to get this deal done as well. Sporting Lisbon, or Lisbon as they call it, 60 million, Bruno Fernandes. Let's talk. Fly back. Saturday lunchtime, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Wan Bissaka, you've got Ruben Diaz, and you've got whoever else I signed, I forgot. Thomas Partey. I've got your two midfielders, a centre-back and a right-back for just over 200 million quid. Then we sell Lukaku. That puts 50 million back into the budget. Go and get Lozano, 40 million quid. Thank you very much. Have a good June. Done. That's how quick it can be done. And people can say, oh, it's not that quick. It is that quick. It is that quick. Napoli are waiting to sign Lozano for 40 million and he's holding off for a better offer. Us, 40 million. Done. Bruno Fernandes wants to move to the Premier League. Just go in with the bigger offer. Done. Wan Bissaka apparently wants to come to United. Crystal Palace want £50 million. Done. Ruben Diaz, release clause, 60 million. Done. Thomas Partey, £43 million release clause. Done. 5 players, done. Relax. Go and have a couple of weeks in Benidorm, Ed Woodward. We've done it. It's done. We've got right winger, 2 midfielders, right back, centre back. It's done. Done in a space of a week. Because you've got the power, you've got the money, you've got the release clauses. It can just be done. So what are we doing? What are we doing? We're looking at different players and we're haggling. That's the problem. I enjoyed those deals. It was done. We just bish, bash, bosh. We got it done. People will be chanting glory, glory, Manchester United as the Reds sleep on the job, says Bradley Hull. It is easy with release clauses, says Professor Zoom. Yes, it is. It is. Just a thought, if De Gea was sold, would you take Buffon on a 1-year deal and spend big on a goalkeeper next year? No, I think Buffon, Premier League, no, I wouldn't do that. In a perfect world, bro, aren't you considering... Oh, whiz bite. The salaries, says Shenar McKnight. Yeah, well, you know what? Of course, personal terms have got to be agreed. It's a very good point, but I feel that United are struggling because of negotiation with football clubs and waiting on other players. You know what? What if we are waiting on De Ligt and that's holding it up? I mean, that just shows how badly planned this transfer window is, that we're waiting on De Ligt because we're waiting on De Ligt. Waiting on De Ligt. Rabiot, again, Adrian Rabiot is a very difficult and dangerous deal because he's free and he can just go and play players off against a lot of people. Is Adrian Rabiot better than Thomas Partey? I don't think there's much in it, to be honest. Yeah, but you know, it can be done. It can be done very, very quickly. It could be done very, very quickly. I agree what you're saying, but if we don't pay any more deals done, what will happen, says Christopher Fox. I think we found our director of football, says Carl Latham. I'll do it. I don't mind. And I'll be very quick. As not to be rude, I will be quick and I will be efficient and I will be ruthless, and I wouldn't piss about either. If a player undernard with my football club, I go forget about it. No, forget it. It's done. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in you pissing about. Del Boy school of negotiating here. Do you want to come to Manchester United? Well. Do you want to come to Manchester United? That's the deal. You won't get a better deal anywhere else. Are you going to sign or not? I don't know. Right, piss off. I'm off. I don't need you. That sort of power in deal negotiations really plays into the hands. If you're a cup in hand sort of person, please come to us. They know they've got you. They know they can play you off. If you actually are quite harsh and, on the ball with this, you can get it done very quickly. And United just aren't like that, are we? Rabiot and Dembele, Pogba. Wow, perfect balance as Kurd set. That's assuming if Pogba stays at Manchester United. Sancho, increased contract. He needs a better incentive, says Samuel Harrison. What deals are to be done this week, says Sri Teja Vedanda. I don't know. It's Friday tomorrow. Will United do a deal over the weekend? I don't think we will be doing a deal over the weekend. Will we do a deal tomorrow? Slim chance. Yeah, there's a slim chance. I'm not from London, George, no. Why don't you work for Manchester United? You would be the perfect man, says Sebastian Mellum. Some people would say I'd be the wrong man, but I just wish we did have somebody like you lot or like me involved in the club, because we know what the football club's all about. We've been supporting it for years. We know what a Manchester United player looks like. We know what the personality is like, and you just need to, I've said it so many times, you just need to be efficient and ruthless with these transfers, and I don't get that impression at all. Whatever is going on at that football club, it's slow and lethargic, because we should have done deals by now. We should have deals done, and we're always very slow. And what worries me the most about this is, we know at this football club, you know about the deal before it's going to happen. So Wan Bissaka could well be about to happen over the next 2 weeks, because there's been a lot of stories about it. So by the time it happens, you're like, well, I'm not surprised. We're not efficient, and we're not ruthless, and we're not quick. And that's what worries me about who is the right winger. We've got no indication about who the right winger is, but we know we need one. And we've got no indication of who the centre-back is, but we know we need one. We know we need 2 midfielders, but there's no real indication. There's tentative stuff about Rabiot, but there's nothing really concrete. So, at the moment, I think the most likely things are Lukaku going and Wan Bissaka coming in. And I'm hopeful that the Bruno Fernandes deal can be done, but we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Anyway, I could talk all night, which I'm not going to do that. But thanks, everyone. Really enjoyed the show. Nice to get a little bit of frustration off your chest sometimes, because I am starting to get a little bit frustrated with it. Because I'm frustrated that we haven't got a director of football. That's what irritates me the most, is that if we actually had somebody as a director of football, none of this would happen. Why are we haggling in June? These deals should have been spoken about for months, and we seem to be jumping onto deals afresh. We probably haven't even, we probably want to sign Harry Maguire, and we probably haven't even picked up the phone with Leicester yet. That's how Manchester United come across. Now, maybe that's unfair, but we're meant to have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said himself, you'd be surprised at the quality of player that wants to come to United. Well, where are they then? Because if they want to come to United, they should be easy to bloody sign. Because if they want to come, they should be telling their club that they play for they want to come. If they want to come, they should want to sign the terms we're offering them. So where the hell are they? Where are these quality players that want to come to Manchester United? And why is it taking so long? We've got to start doing some stuff. Next week, the start of the week is Monday the 17th. So by this time next week, it's the 20th of June. 10 days until the players come back training. We've got to get motoring on this transfer window. We have. Imagine Mark swearing at a player, defensive director of football right there, says Bob Bill. Well, you know what? Some aggression in the Manchester United football team and hierarchy wouldn't go amiss. I think everything's a bit nice, isn't it? Somebody was on about Solskjaer the other day and saying what a nice bloke he is. I don't want to hear about what a nice bloke he is. Sir Alex Ferguson was never really spoken as a nice bloke. He was the best manager in sporting history. I want some aggression. I want some fight back in that club. Stop being a victim. Stop losing control and start bloody getting some control back. Hi Mark, love the channel. The season was frustrating enough for us to deal with. Now the transfer market is just adding to the frustrations. Has just kicked serious on. What I would say is, I am getting a little bit frustrated, as many people are, because I just want us to start moving through the gears because we've got so many players to sign. But what I will say is, we will sign players. We will get them done. It doesn't mean we won't be frustrated in how long it's taking, but we will get them done. We will sign 4 or 5 players. I'll guarantee that. We will sign 4 or 5 players. So I just want us to get motoring because it's all right. Somebody might say, well, as long as we get them done by August the 8th, it's fine. It's not really. You want them done by the start of July so they can go on the tour. And we know we've got that difficult start to the season with Chelsea and Wolves. So you want the new players part of that team ASAP so they can do it. Smoke screen from Ollie to calm the fans down, says Manchester United Business Club, about quality players wanting to come to the club. Please smash a like on the video, everybody. Loads watching. Remember, we're live every night at 8 o'clock. Transfer Daily's back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. We had to move it this morning for the fixtures, so it'll be 7 a.m. tomorrow for Transfer Daily. Some interesting things already to discuss in that, and I'm sure there'll be some new stuff as well coming through. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner. Share the video if you've already have subscribed. We're on that road to 500,000. The more people subscribe, the quicker we'll get there, and then we've got loads planned. So thanks everyone, really enjoyed the show. Good to let it all out and have a bit of a debate. So really enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. Ash Smith says you can't guarantee anything. You're right, I can't guarantee anything, but I guarantee we'll sign 4 or 5 players. See you all later. Thanks for watching.